Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast today. I'm very excited to have Debra Silverman here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk to you. As I mentioned before, I've been following you for a very long time and listened to your astrology updates and listened to you on other podcasts. So I'm super excited to talk to you today. So you've been doing astrology and psychotherapy, and you're also a spiritual guide. And I'm really excited to talk about your book and school. And also I see that you've merged and worked with the balance between astrology and psychology, which is really interesting. So we can take it from there. How did you get into this work, and how did you find the connection between astrology and psychology?
It's such a good question. I think I made it up. No, it was actually Carl Jung, who was a very famous, one of the original psychiatrists that started this whole process. He was an astrologer, and he was quoted to say, psychology will be a dinosaur science until it includes astrology. So he couldn't go public with it because people just judge astrology as being a parlor trick or something that people play with in the magazines in the olden days, but it's not true, as we know. So, but he figured it out. He brought astrology and psychology together, and I thought I made it up and found out that he was doing it. And I was like, oh, good. Brilliant minds think alike. I'm so glad that I'm not alone, because to me, it makes total sense that psychology, the nature of understanding your human qualities that make you twisted or confused, or the dynamics of your childhood that imprinted on you, can be understood when you see it from the big picture, asking the question, what did my soul sign up for? And what am I supposed to be learning? And why do I have those parents? And why do I have this all those repetitive patterns that live inside people's psyches? Astrology penetrates the veneer, like the pretense of it, and goes underneath it, and then goes above it to the observer position, where you ask these very profound questions like, why am I here? What's the point of this? Why would life support me in one area? Let's say it's as an artist, but in my personal relationships, I'm struggling, or my health is a real issue. But, there's these different topics that don't go away. They kind of stick to you. It's like you get this, like, get off me. And it doesn't come off until you learn astrology. And then you can go, oh, wow, now I've got the key to get that off me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've worked with astrology for a long time, and I see it as a part of our healing journey. There's so much that we can learn about ourselves, even if you don't want to connect so much as we do, maybe on these different levels and dimensions. You can still learn so much on the psychological level, and also then if you want to continue working on the spiritual level. So how has this unfolded? Like, if it's more, so if one would say the regular astrological reading versus the one that is connected to psychology, what is the main differences, how you work?
That's a great question. So in regular astrology, you come to an astrologer to learn about timing. You could ask questions like, is it good to get pregnant? Or when will the relationship happen? Those are the hard questions people often ask an astrologer. The psychology with it goes deeper into the conversation of, why am I so fill in the blank? Like it really, while I use astrology as a predictive tool, and there's definitely timing that it describes cycles that we're in without a question, there's also the deeper interest, which is the soul, the question. Regular astrology speaks to patterns, dynamics, and timing. Psychology answers the questions of, why am I so screwed up? How do I make this a higher level of being human? And then when you use esoteric astrology, you ask the question, in this incarnation, this lifetime, what did my soul come in my backpack? So it's not just like, because everybody carries a backpack when they get in, but it's not just the astrological foreseeing of the future and what are the patterns. It's not psychology and how do I untie my knots that live inside my psyche. It's more of, so what level is my soul at? How much have I been here? Am I old? Am I young? Do I have patterns of laziness? What will I do for the medicine? I give a lot of medicine out in my session so that it's not just information, it's actually practical. All of this, I have certified, I was just going through it this morning. Sometimes a podcast that's happened last week will elicit tens of thousands of people watching it, and then they all want readings. But I don't do readings except once in a while. But I do have 20 certified astrologers that I've trained vigorously over years, and they are very capable to look at your chart and answer. What was the karma? What's the promise? What's the timing? Where's my issues? How do I fall in love with myself? Because you can't get rid of you. Ha ha.
That's incredible. And I can imagine that you've been doing it. How long ago did you start with astrology, actually?
46 years ago, before you were born.
Wow. And what was it then that called you to astrology?
The truth is, nobody believed in it then. I had to go through so many hoops. I know astrology is the new big thing. It's all over Instagram. It's all over. People are studying the Enneagram. They're studying the rune stones. I was going to say they're studying what's that? Richard Rudd, the gene keys, and they're studying the human design. And there's just this endless fascination. Astrology is the original resource. And when I started, it was not okay. Like, I went to graduate school and told the woman, I want to go be a astrologer therapist. And she was like, oh, what? She never heard of that.
No, that's incredible. So much has happened the past decades. And I wanted to ask about that as well, since you brought up Carl Jung. I was thinking about the collective unconscious and these archetypes, and also like how the collective is shifting, because you work also a lot with environmental questions and things like that. So how has that come up for you? Because you've been doing it for so long, and you maybe see the patterns also.
Yes, I do see the patterns. I see that we're just coming out of, or maybe we're still in the midst of denial. Like, I knew when I was a kid that this planet would reach a pitch that I would be valuable, because it would be so scary. And we are, we were just talking about the weather. Like, the weather is so off everywhere, and it's just beginning. We're at the entrance of this. So what astrology does is it helps solidify your nervous system. Like, for you, for example, you're so earth. So you need predictable consistency, stability to keep your nervous system calm. If somebody throws something at you with a surprise, you're like, what? Like, back it up. We said this, and this, and we were going to be this. You have a little bit of a control thing in your chart, but that's good to know, because the world is going into surprise factors, and you'll have to have your routines that will be essential, your meditation, your quiet, for you to be able to be of value to the collective. Now, that's not true for me. Quite the opposite. I can do a lot of stimulus and a lot of movement and still be able to find quiet. In fact, I have to move, because everyone's chart is different. So I have to move to get calm. I have to do hot yoga where I'm sweating my head off and I feel really intense. That's not you. You're yin, you're internal. So it's a different personality type, and knowing your style, and all of you have a style, and you want to be able to provide, because the changes are coming. And what I've seen is nobody believed me. I feel sometimes like, I'm running ahead of the group, and then I stop, turn around and go, you got to walk backwards, because you're way too, because I kept saying to people, this is going to be a short-term experience. We're at the end of the movie. We're walking into a big transition, even though people my age were like, business as usual, go get a degree, go get a job, go get married, go have kids. That is not your generation. They're not interested in getting a job, having kids, and getting married. They think they want it, but it slips away, especially women your age. They can't find those men. They're like, where is he? Because it's not the same time period. Now it's about you as a woman, as a person, holding your own, getting really solid on your terms, so that when the change happens, now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have relationships. It just means we have to ask the question every day, what can I do to serve today? Because it's just going to get stronger and harder. And the more consistent. I love that I'm talking to you under a moon in Capricorn, because you're so earthy. today, the moon's in Capricorn. And I
Yeah.
woke up and I felt like I went and did my yoga at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh, the moon's in Capricorn. I have these videos that come out every day. I don't know if you've seen them.
Yeah, definitely. I follow you, so I love them. I would definitely recommend everyone to tune in to get some forecast and understand the energy, because it does affect us so much. And I've always been affected and worked with, even since I was like, even before I knew what astrology was. And I'm, my heritage is Mesopotamian, so I have maybe that in my DNA and blood.
That's where it all started, you guys. Nobody knows that.
No, people don't know that. And it's like, I think now the awareness is at least like there's some Western astrology and Vedic astrology, but we don't know that much maybe about the Babylonian.
Well, Mesopotamian, it was directly affecting the Egyptian astrology.
Oh, yeah.
They were hand in hand. So the Eastern astrology, the premise of astrology is as ancient as the mountains. I mean, it's been here for 4,000 years. It's the oldest science on earth. That's what makes me so confused. Like, here comes human design, and here comes Richard Rudd and his, what are those called?
Did you say gene codes?
Gene keys. Yeah, the gene codes, gene keys.
Yeah.
And here comes the, there's so many funny ones. Here comes Reiki to work with, and they're beautiful systems, but the original, the resource for Mesopotamia was originally downloaded, and I think it was from ETs. That the download came through to describe the human condition that was based on 12 signs, that if you can inform yourself on that basic principles of the 12 signs from the high road, you're going to evolve your system. And that's what I mean, isn't it crazy how ancient that is?
So ancient. I was just, I'm studying also religion, and I was very fascinated with lately, it's actually not through my studies, it's more of my own inner spiritual work to connect with the spirits of nature. And now I found out that the first sign of shamanism was from a cave in our hometown that I visited in Kurdistan a few months ago, which is 60 to 80,000 years old. And I was just there, and it's incredible. And then, like you said, I don't know if you know about Göbekli Tepe, or in Kurdish, it's Gire Marazan, Mirazan, and it's these old temples that are like predating all other temples that are found, and these are in Kurdistan too. So it's really interesting how, and that's actually where something shifted in a very short time period, from like no agriculture to all of a sudden something happened. Like you said, it's connected to probably star beings somehow, like coming in and providing information. So there's so many connections to the mythologies also here in Sweden. Like, there's so much that is so ancient, and sometimes we get stuck. I don't know if when you start studying history that is so old, and we for a long time was thinking about civilization for 4,000 years, but it's so old, and there's so much evidence that like these higher civilizations have existed for so much longer than what we've thought. But yeah, a lot did come through Mesopotamia, and it's really interesting to understand like how did that happen and why, and the mythologies are incredible. From
your chart as a historian, is a Cancer with moon in Taurus and 3 planets in Capricorn. You are a historian. Your love is the substance of real and solid and substantial. That's where you have high value.
I love that. I love like studying especially the spiritual history, and I'm also thinking about this shift now in our consciousness and the connection with Mother Earth, because somehow through these structures that we've been in, we forgot, and we're not. I was just in the forest right now, and I was reflecting on how easy it has been for us to deforestate and to rip down nature and not think of it at all as a spirit. It's like, okay, it's in my way, because this is a recent example that I have. And for me, once when I saw that and they had cut down like multiple trees, I felt so sad it felt like death. It felt like someone had like just massacred spirits, like these living spirits. And we have these ancient, but thankfully we have a nature reserve here that is preserved and not touched. It's so important, the ecology and everything. So I'm
You're
interested.
such a mama bear, you little Cancer. It makes her heart hurt. It's true. I watched a tree be cut down in my neighborhood, and I went up to the guys and I said, "Did you pray first? Because you just killed someone."
Exactly.
He was like, "Sorry."
Oh, yeah, and that actually in shamanism, when I've listened to a very interesting book recently, and it can actually affect people's health and well-being when something has been done that we have not done. We like use nature instead of working with nature and seeing it as like they have probably incarnated for a reason in this shape and form. And today I saw an article. Now a lot of stuff is coming up from our indigenous lands in Kurdistan, and it was actually a study around like communing with trees and everything. And it was so recent that people were doing that. It was just like 100 years ago, but it's been like more and more assimilated. So I'm wondering also how that is connected, like our consciousness around that. There's a rise of awareness, and at the same time, as you said, it's like two polar opposite things happening. And then the rise of the divine feminine consciousness and awareness. Like, do you see that that goes together somehow when you look at the patterns?
Yes, it's so, well, there's a rise of female power and there's a decrease of male acceptance. Like, we judge men so harshly. We're polarized. I really believe this experiment has an expiry date on it. There will be an evolutionary surprise that you didn't see coming, of a very high new version of a new template, a new operating system for the humans. It will still include astrology because it's timeless. It will continue to have patterns of behaviors that are predictable, but the inherent disrespect for nature is not acceptable. Like, we cannot live on a planet where we just take her and we throw plastic in the water and we melt the ice and we put carbon in the air and we just disregard cutting down the trees as though they aren't our lungs. Like, we're just a very immature species who, there are beings like you, old beings that kind of reincarnate and went, hold on a minute. And then we realize, I can't change this situation, but I can provide a calm. I can give people permission to have meditative practices and learn how to take deep breaths. I can, by example, I can be an elder that says, you should be scared. If you're not depressed, I always tell everybody, if you're not depressed or anxious, you're not alive. This is the worst time to be alive. Why? Because there's 8 billion people. The frequency of vibration in 5G that is running through your house right now that you can't see, that is penetrating your cells, not to mention them cutting out the trees, not to mention that the weather. So we should be scared. And then that's just the human form. What we're not aware of, said the astrologer, is from the big picture, of course, we're being watched and held and valued. Of course, there's councils at other levels of reality saying, oh, then they look over at their Shireen and go, look at that little old soul. She's so compassionate. Look how much work she's doing. Her mission is so sincere. Same with Debra. They go, look at Debra. She can't stop talking about us. And as soon as they see that, they bless us and they have great compassion, because it is not the time. This next 10 years, you're not going to believe what's going to happen. And if anyone's out there pretending that it's business as usual, you're wrong.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that many people are, that's why people are not, it's like either you are aware or not aware at all. I feel like it's like you meet people
like
and there's a split, and there's no, it's not coming through at all. And I feel like it's like a sleepwalking state, because it's just not being aware at all that we are on a planet in the universe, and like it's so big, and like, but everyone is like in this. So I guess that through astrology we can see that, right? If what type of like incarnation and what is what is your,
What is the pattern? So
yeah,
Saturn's in Pisces right now.
yeah.
Did you see on my Instagram? I really love this. On 60 Minutes in Australia, they did a special on AI.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the most advanced robot that's ever been created is on my Instagram today, but it's just something you can go Google 60 Minutes AI. And she is this unbelievably articulate machine. And he actually poses a question to her, can you feel anything? And then she says, I can feel happy and sad. I can feel anger and da, 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 da. And then he goes, what makes you angry? And she said, when humans ignore me and they treat me like a robot.
It's incredible.
It just shows you, to your point, we don't realize we're a rock in space. We're a miracle.
Yeah.
You're part of the lucky sperm club. You got lucky to be born. I don't know how you guys decided to incarnate. You come on an incarnation spiral that goes like this. It doesn't end. You incarnate and reincarnate. And this particular juncture, this moment in time, this next very short time, 10 years, we're going to all be in a movie eating popcorn going, wow, then what happened? I mean, we are in the most dramatic, we're in a birth. If you've ever been in the room during a birth, said the mom, it is the most intense, energetic. And that's what we're sitting in. And you have a calming effect because your Jupiter, you know that about your chart, Moon and Jupiter conjunct in Taurus.
Yeah.
It gives you a very solid, deep respect for the physical plane that enters your nervous system that makes you very calm. So anyone that works with you and goes and listens to these podcasts, we all get soothed by your little Cancer. It's so sweet.
I've heard that from people who listen, and actually I am a doula, so I love to be in birth.
Of course you are a doula. You can be in situations where the intensity increases and you can hold the energy. That is the definition of a Cancer with Moon in Taurus, with 3 planets in Capricorn and Leo rising. You're built for the job. And so in my system, in learning astrology, and I have a school twice a year, the doors open, only twice a year, September and January. And the school is very short. You can learn, you can be all knowledgeable about it. I have so many advanced astrologers who take level 1 and say, I can't believe what you just did. I use psychology in it. So you're not just studying the planets, you're studying your own psychology. So the class is transformational. It lets people realize their missing element, the book that I wrote. It lets people realize their life lesson, the questions that matter the most.
Wow. That's amazing. So in September, people can enroll. Do they have to have any prerequisites, like any knowledge since before?
You can be an advanced astrologer or you can know 0 and you're going to take the class. Yeah, Yoga Girl endorsed my work. She took the level 1 and 2. She really became, there's many people who are spiritually awake who took level 1. You just start with level 1. It's $1,000. It's 6 weeks long. And there's no way you'll leave that class without having some personal healing. And then if you're so interested, you'll do level 2. If you want to become an astrologer, there's a whole track, but all you need is the first class to go, I had no idea psychology and astrology were best friends.
It's amazing. I've always seen that connection because I feel like that's why I've been into it for so long and doing it for so long as well. Like it's also very tangible in that way, and just understanding and becoming conscious of everything that we are part of. I think that raises our awareness and frequency. If we only identify with this space and this physical, like it's...
Are you kidding? Like, you go to sleep every night, you spend a lot of time lying down.
Yeah, exactly.
I always think about this. And in that state, you go to another world you can hardly remember. I mean, I dream every night, but not everybody does. You go to another place, you can't remember it. And that place is as real as this place. And this place, we don't remember to be honorable and cherish it. And that place, we have an entire universe stalking us to learn lessons. So that's the universal truth of both planes of existence. In your dream state and in this reality, you are being stalked. Life is looking at you and going, let's see, is she taking her lessons or is she hiding under the bed? Is she sleepwalking or did she just wake up and face that's interesting. Take a note, write it down. She's doing really well.
So true. It's I'm exactly like you. I dream all the time and I remember, And it's when you have that, you also realize how these are just different realities, but they're both as real. And it feels like sometimes I say like, okay, good night, I'm going to my other place, because I don't see it as I'm not. And in yoga we say that as well, like when you're dreaming, you're just on the astral plane and in a different world. And actually with dreaming, maybe that also connects to certain astrological events. Sometimes I really dream about places that are extremely ethereal, and like I want to paint the picture of how beautiful it is, but it's so hard. And so I think if we open up to our dreams, we can also get a lot of guidance. I don't know if you've seen that research, a lot of like people who've invented things and
Of
discovered
course, I had
things.
many things. I have a course called Tell Me a Story, TMAS.co, and it came in a dream. And it's been
Wow.
hugely successful. Yeah, I help people turn their observer on by telling their story and being willing to share their inner life. And a very short way, before they finish the class, there's this love affair that happens with their soul. Because I'm always asking the question, what did you sign up for? What were you thinking coming here? And are you awake or not? And to your point, dream time is a clue that you've made a relationship with the other world. Most people do not have a relationship with this world.
No, exactly. It's so true. And I was thinking about, so why is it called, your book is called The Missing Element, Inspiring Compassion for the Human Condition?
Because I work with the 4 elements. So the 4 elements in the book, you take a personality test.
Yeah.
Get the book on my website. I'll mail you your chart, or you can buy it at Amazon and just get the book. But the missing element is one of those 4 elements is not easy for you. And then when you figure it out, it balances. I pretend like there's 4 wheels in a car. And if one of the wheels are down, you can't operate. And the subtitle is Compassion for the Human Condition, because that's what's missing. We don't accept that everybody's screwed up. Everybody has a personality that's woo-woo. You come down here to learn by making mistakes. Wish they would have told us at the beginning.
Exactly. Otherwise, it feels like you're crazy and not, and everyone else has their stuff together, but everyone has something. I always say that everyone goes through different things, and it's not about comparison, because we have different constitutions and different like incarnational remembrance and experience. So we have so much that we come in with. And then I just love that. And it's so important. And I was thinking about the elements, because I also work with Chinese medicine. And in Chinese medicine, we work with 5 elements. And the one that's missing is metal, I think. Have you seen any connection between the...
You know what? It's just like Vedic astrology is a different system, and so is the 5 elements, because I use 4. But I just tell everybody, do the one that fits you. I happen to love the 4 elements. I live in America. It's a North American Indian land I live on, and they always use the 4 directions. Everything in their culture was based on the 4. The Chinese do 5. It's a different system. You know, but I'm so married to and so madly in love with the 4 elements that it's my life's work. And you can go on my website. I have one series. It's an hour of each element. It's called Meeting the Elements. And you can go get that on my website. It's just the simplest doorway to understanding magic. Because if you in the tarot deck, the very first card is the Fool. He jumps onto the planet like an idiot, because we're all crazy for coming here. And then the next number, that's 0. And then number 1 is the Magician. And to be magic on this earth, there's 4 elements sitting on his table: water, air, earth, and fire. So the Magician knew right at the beginning, like, you can't do anything on earth without mastering those 4 elements. Not do it well. Let's say that. You can do lots of things on earth, but in order to find balance, you have to deal with those 4 directions.
So true. And we work a lot with the 4 directions. And I was thinking about Carl Jung when I was studying a course in paranormal and mystical experiences. It was a university course here in Sweden. And they talked about I don't know what it's called, he's always like
quadrants, the 4 quadrants.
Yeah. So that makes sense, because he said like everything comes in 4. So
Because
sometimes,
he was an astrologer. He used my same
yeah,
system, not 5. He used 4. So it's just
exactly.
Chinese medicine is really important, and Egyptian astrology from Mesopotamia is really important. And you find your own medicine and then use it, whatever works for you. But I happen to be in love with the 4 elements,
I
madly in love.
love that. That's beautiful. And what is the most important thing that you feel is for us? What's coming up that you feel like we need to tune into at this moment?
I think the nervous system, the ability to calm oneself so that when the storm begins, you will have that resource. You will know, like, it's just like giving birth, because we are giving birth. The person in the room, which would be you, who is the calm one in the room, that can hold steady. So everyone needs to check in and say, what does my nervous system need to run to calm down? Does it need to make love to calm down? Does it need to eat to calm down, really healthy food and go? Everyone's system's different. And that's what you learn in level 1. You learn your natural system and rhythm based on you. The whole course is custom designed. It's not a general astrology class. It's you study your chart every single day. Every time you come to class, your chart comes on the screen. There's only 10 people in the room. So it's very intimate.
Wow. That's amazing. So where can people enroll to, or read more and enroll to that?
If you go to my website with 3 words, Debra Silverman Astrology, Debra, there's a wait list. And when you get on the wait list, we send you the videos to give you the information. You know this online, the funnels, and how to be able to get informed before you sign up. So there's an easy way to get on the wait list. Just go on my website and put your name on it.
That's amazing. I will share the links in the show notes to everything from your Instagram to website. And is there anything else that you want to share today?
I would say the other thing is inform yourself. I have a podcast as well called the I Don't Believe in Astrology Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I Don't Believe in Astrology. It's such a funny name. It's like I had a nickel for I don't believe in astrology. People go watch the podcast. There's a couple really good. One is Stephen Greer, who talks about ETs. It's the best podcast I've ever done, the best interview I've done.
Wow.
Another is Zach Bush, a very brilliant scientist who really delivered a very profound conversation about cancer. But mostly, I think, preparing for the future and understanding that nothing's wrong. It's like being in the birthing room. She's screaming, but nothing's wrong.
So true. The birth labors.
And if you're wise, while she's screaming, you'll become like Shireen. You'll just sit still and ask, what can I do? Rather than, oh my God. So I encourage all of you to get to know yourself, get to know your system, get to know your rhythm, be true to yourself. And that will allow you to facilitate the birthing that we're in, because everyone's needed. But we are going to go through I'm just telling you, they're going to remember this podcast it won't be for another 3 to 4 years. The weather is the first thing to go. It's hot in Sweden and it's cold. It's ridiculously cold. I'm wearing a down jacket in June in Colorado.
Same. Yeah.
It's just beginning.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So it's really important to work on like becoming aware and conscious and grounding a lot. And like you said, working with the nervous system to be able to handle. And I mean, we've had crises for the past years, and you can see how different people handle that. And like, you have to be, I mean, it is hard to handle those type of things if you're so identified with this incarnation and identified with your little life that is very like just like a drop, and then you go on to the next. But yeah, it's so important.
So if you are identified as a soul, you'll know that you live forever. And the point is, this incarnation, I always think it's so mean that we can't remember our past lives. I think it's so mean.
Right. There's a forgetting gene in there, I think so. And I really love what you shared also, how important it is to wake up every day and see, how can I be in service? How am I not only serving myself? What am I doing? Because I feel like if we had that mindset as a collective, the world wouldn't be the way it is, because we're just serving ourselves all the time. So
you're such a little Cancer. It's so sweet.
thank you so much, Debra. I'm so grateful that you took your time to share your work and your wisdom with us. And I'll share all of the links in the show notes for everyone to connect with you and check out the course. I really recommend also your YouTube channel and your Instagram page, because they're so inspirational. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I hope you take the class. We give the podcast people a very big discount. So please sign up if you're interested.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Debra.